I may have done something that I regret. I was screaming at my sister at the top of my lungs, and I've never really done that before, but it's because of what she said to my father. It was something so hateful and hurtful, and yes, it was just days before the wedding, but does that really matter? Let me tell you what she said. I believe that when someone does something wrong, you should call them out, especially if they're family. The first people to correct bad behavior should be family. Nobody can tell me otherwise. Even though my sister is older, it does not mean that she is wiser. She has done something very stupid, and I was right to reprimand her. Unfortunately, not everybody sees this, and I might have to actually apologize. I'm in two minds about it, either, apologizing for peace, or just standing my ground. I was hoping that you guys could help me make the difficult decision. I really need to solve this right now because tensions are high. So guys, let me just start by introducing myself. I'm Callie, 23, and a female. Well, I also have a half-sister, Alice. I am my dad's child from his second marriage. His first marriage ended when Alice was 2 years old. My dad met and married my mom within that year, and they had me. My mom and dad were married until my mother passed 5 years back. My father is a very good dad. He was always just straight up, making sure that we had the best no matter what. And yes, I do love him a lot, but he can be a bit soft when it comes to us. So, this means that we always get what we want. Many people are envious of that, but it also places the responsibilities of boundaries on us. As I've gotten older, I've tried to rely on him less for money. All I care about is spending quality time with him, because he truly gets me. My sister, on the other hand, is older but not wiser. She's always asking for money. That is the only time that she contacts father. I hate when she does it, but I know if I say anything, she'll have a tantrum. Alice is getting married in a few days and planning a grand wedding. A couple days ago, we decided to have the rehearsal dinner at my dad's house. The dinner took an unexpected turn. What an unannounced guest arrived. Well, Allison's mom. As far as I knew, that woman was somewhere in Europe and only planned to come back to town for the wedding, and I did not understand why she had to come to town early and unannounced. Well, apparently, Alice did not find surprise to this at all, and she actually welcomed her with open arms. My dad looked visibly uncomfortable, but he did not utter a word. I asked my stepmother when she had arrived in town and why she did not tell us. Well, she asked me if I was working with the FBI or something that she had to announce her arrival. Yeah, I was not really shocked by her sharp response. That woman has a sharp tongue and it's lethal. What she did to my dad those years ago still shocks me and makes me, not like her. There's no love between us, lost, and we tend to stay away from each other, which actually works out pretty well. I decided not to entertain her further and focused on other things. That rehearsal dinner was a disaster. Every once in a while, Isabel would make nasty comments to my father. It would be pretty nasty. She commented on the food, his house, how he looked, and the fact that he was still single. Each and every time that she went after him, I intervened and said something back. She would then act offended and claim that her statements were innocent. And by the end of dinner, I wanted to fight her because she made me so angry. I did not get why my sister had decided to invite her. I just really wanted dinner to be over with and for them to leave. After what seemed to be 50 years, everyone left. I needed to use my father's computer, so I stayed for a while. Afterward, I looked for him to say goodbye. When I saw him, he was lying on a chase lounge, literally sweating. I got him some water and asked if there was anything that I could do for him. He said he was fine, but he did not look so good, so I suggested calling emergency services. But he told me that it was just his blood pressure acting up. He had just taken his pills, but he was going to be fine in a couple of minutes. Well, I stayed with him until it lowered, but I did not wait to risk him worsening, so I slept at his house. The next morning, the gravity of what my sister has done absolutely hit me. She knew how Dad felt about that poisonous woman, yet she brought her into his home. She was counting on the fact that Dad is not a confrontational person. Was she trying to send our father to an early grave? I mean, she was crazy, and I needed to give her a piece of my mind. As a spur-of-the-moment thing, I called her and cussed her out for bringing her mom to dinner. I mean, come on. Well, she acted innocent and claimed that she did not want to cause any drama. Apparently, her mom was the one who wanted to come. She missed her mom and also wanted to spend time with Dad, and she felt like enough time had passed and they could be civil with each other, so yeah. She actually thought it all went well because they did not shout at each other. I wanted to pull my hair out because of how oblivious she was. I had to point out every single time her mom was disrespectful towards our father and how I had protected him while she sat there. I told her not to put them in the same room again until the wedding. Dad had gotten high blood pressure the night before because of her evil mom, and that was when she got offended and said that I should not call her mother evil. Well, I asked her when she was going to wake up, because her mother messed up and abandoned her when she was 5. My mother was more of a mom to her than her own biological mother. You know, her bio mom disappointed every single time. I was even shocked that she was coming to the wedding. It was like Alice was desperate for her love because she just let her get away with it all the time. Alice told me that I had no idea what was happening. See, apparently her mom was trying to make peace before the wedding. She really wanted to play an active role in her daughter's life, and that included getting alone with her ex-husband. She then claimed that Dad getting sick had nothing to do with her mom. I was just reaching. Oh, so now I was crazy for not allowing my dad to be bullied like, her mom. Oh, I ripped into her for about 20 minutes. We went back and forth, and I did not hold back. After I hung up the phone in anger, I went to check on my dad before leaving, and later that afternoon, I got a message from Dad. He was asking me to fix things with my sister because she was, saying that she was going to uninvite me from her wedding. You know, I don't give a darn about her wedding if she could not admit to being wrong. I was not going to apologize, and I told Dad that I was not going to let him be disrespected. Well, she did not have to bring her mom to the dinner. She messed up, and I was trying to correct her. Just because she was older did not mean that she was always right, and she had to learn that. Well, Dad begged me to make things right with her. He said that while he felt uncomfortable because of Isabel's presence, he knew how important she was to Alice. He was willing to tolerate her for Alice's sake. He did not want to ruin his daughter's wedding because of pain from the past. So I asked him if he was even willing to sacrifice his health for her. He did not have a response to that, and he begged me to fix things with her. Our fighting is making him feel bad, and he really wants us to get along. I told him that I would apologize if only she did. And he said that he would speak to her, and at the end of the day, he tells me that she was adamant and would not apologize. He knew that I was more responsible than she was, so he asked me to say sorry to her, and he really needed me to be at the wedding if that woman was going to be there. I wish my dad would skip the wedding with me, but that was just wishful thinking. See, he cares about his daughter and is going to be there for her no matter what. Comment number 1 from the original post says, "What in the world? Your sister should have, not set your dad up like that." She might be acting innocent, but she knows her, mom. She knows that her mom cannot be decent to your father. Clearly, she cares more about what her mom wants than her dad. Your dad's paying for the entire wedding. She should not be disrespecting him like this. If I were actually your father, I would have taken all of my support back until she learned respect. I did not think that you should apologize either. You were right for defending your father. Isabel sounds like a bitter woman. She probably saw how well your father was doing and wanted to take him down a peg. Don't mind her. She's bitter, sad of a woman who's jealous because your dad has you and Alice while she has no one. I suggest that you stand your ground in this. If you give up, those two will think that they can just treat you and your dad any way that they want. Comment number 2. Your sister was wrong for inviting her mom to the rehearsal dinner without consulting anyone else. In addition, she was wrong for allowing her mom to bully your father like that. I think that she was scared of offending her mom by saying something. Now, she's doubling down because she knows that she's wrong. Nevertheless, I think you should be the big person here and apologize. I think that she's trying to use this as a way to exclude you from the wedding. If you apologize, your dad will be less stressed, and in addition, he'll have your support on the wedding day in case your stepmom does something. I do wonder, though, what was it that she did that was so bad? In addition, I cannot believe Alice still wants her in her life even though she's so flaky. It's truly a mystery, but I guess it's true what they say. Blood calls to blood. The only way to win this is to humble yourself. Say sorry so that you do not get isolated. I do have a feeling that this is just the start of it all. Update number 1. 1 week later. Hey! Well, guys, I just want to start out by saying thank you, everybody, for all the advice. So I was not crazy in thinking that my sister was wrong. I wish that everybody else thought like, all of you guys, I really do. I know my dad, he would actually believe me. But he also wants to keep the peace. I did not want to be difficult, so I apologized, but only for his sake. His relief that there was peace between us made the smugness of my stepmom's face hurt less. Well, guys, when I went to apologize to my sister, she told me that I had to apologize to my stepmom instead, since I called her all sorts of names. I wanted to call my stepmom a whole new stuff. A bunch of names after that, but I decided, you know what? I'm gonna hold back. I just decided to be the big person in all this, even though she was doing nothing but being a backstabber. I realized that I never told you guys how Isabel and my dad's marriage ended. Aside from cheating on my dad while he worked hard, she betrayed my father by allowing his enemy to have access to some important business plans. He offered her a luxury shopping experience for it. My dad was doing well at the time, but not as well established as he is right now. She was blinded by what glittered and betrayed him. That betrayal cost my dad a lot of business, and after a while he left the company because he was feeling so demotivated. He fell into depression, and instead of helping him, she ridiculed him. A couple months later, he was contacted by a lawyer. Apparently an audit had been done for the company that stole the information. They needed his input, and to do so, they shared what they knew about his files getting stolen. And just like that, he saw emails between his darling wife and business rival. He had forgiven Isabel for nearly everything, but that was the last straw. They divorced, and he was left with nearly nothing. Isabel took Alice, but returned her 2 years later. When my dad had remarried, had me, and was doing so much better. Dad says that meeting my mom was the best thing to happen to him. It helped me get over what happened and worked hard. He was a good husband and father, and his life never went downhill again. Every once in a while, Isabel would come back and try to ruin things, but my mom would put her in her place. My mom was loving, but a spitfire when it came to her family. And guys, for this reason, I miss her a lot. If she was still here, I would not be apologizing for something as stupid as this. But it's fine because now I can keep an eye on Isabel. She's always up to no good, and if she's planning to do something to my father, then I need to be several steps ahead. I'm going to hang around my sister a lot, so I know what Isabel is always up to. Yeah, I don't know. I generally do not trust that woman as far as I can throw her. I don't think that she should in any way be left unsupervised. Her early arrival in town is already suspicious. She hates our town and calls it backwards. I mean, why would she leave her exciting life early just for a wedding? I know. You're probably thinking that it's because she cares for her daughter. She's not as sentimental as that. There's something else going on here, and I will find out exactly what it is. Update number 2. 2 weeks later. It turns out I was not crazy to think that Isabel was actually up to something. Oh boy, because I don't know, maybe she was. Of course. I just did not think that she would dare to attempt something so stupid. I've been closely monitoring her and Alice, and they have finally slipped up. I took advantage of how Alice is too busy to do some wedding planning duties. and as a peace offering I asked to help. I now had the key to get in and out of her apartment, you see, and for a while things were absolutely normal, and nothing was amiss until she slipped up. The florist sent an invoice for $1,000, but she told my dad that she needed $2,200, which is more than double the cost, and I wondered why she did that, so I looked into the invoice a bit more. So, get this. My suspicions were correct. She was charging my dad almost double the cost for the wedding and probably pocketing the rest. You best believe that I kept the evidence. I could have gone to Dad with this information, but it was not enough. I need to find out more, and there was more. I stayed hyper-vigilant because it worked out. One evening when we were sharing a taxi coming from the bar, she opened her banking account and sent $500 to her mom. We ended up sleeping at my place and she got knocked out. Her phone kept on vibrating, so I looked at it. I used her finger to open it. Jackpot. She had fallen asleep while having a conversation with her own mother. See, her mom was thanking her for sending the money because now she was able to pay back some guy named Roy. Her mom then asked how far the plan to get my dad to forgive her was coming along. My sister responded by telling her mom that she was going to try to organize a meeting, but Isabel needs to be nicer. Apparently the first time she was too familiar with my dad and he took offense. Her mom apologized and said she was used to being mean towards men and getting her way, and she had forgotten how soft my dad actually was. And then my sister said that they had to act quick. Once her mom and dad were close, they could push me out and get what they finally deserved. Well, my sister responded and said that better work. There's no way that I was going to get the inheritance. All this was about inheritance. But my dad was not that old and was going to be here for a very long time. Why did they want him to get back with Isabel? Oh no. Were they going to do something to him and pocket his hard-earned money? I was panicking now as my mind thought of all the possibilities. So I scrolled up the chat and also noticed that Alice had been sending money to her mom for weeks. I was able to piece it together and figure out her mom had debts. Alice was overcharging for the wedding so she could help her mom out. Now it made a lot of sense why Isabel came back. She was broke and needed her daughter to bail her out. Alice, on the other hand, was so desperate for her mother's love that she could not see what was really going on. If she got caught, Dad would disown her. I know that she loves him, so that would really hurt. I have all the proof, and I'm considering sharing it with my dad. But I know that it's not going to be pretty. My father would be heartbroken if he found out about this. Also, I don't have enough information. Why are they so sure that my father is going to pass away so soon? Let us just hope that they will not hurt him. So, what'll happen if he's sick and did not tell me? I don't know. I have too many theories right now. My head is spinning. I feel like I'm missing just one piece of the puzzle, and then everything is going to make sense. I'll be more vigilant as I'm looking out for more evidence. However, I cannot continue to allow them to milk my father off his money. He's worked very hard for it. They're not entitled to it, even if I'm not entitled to it. What I do know is that I must find out everything before the wedding. The wedding feels like a very important, pivotal moment, but I just don't really know why. I just feel like if I can get everything started before the wedding and sorted out, things will be just okay. I'm keeping evidence safe while I think of what to do. Guys, please wish me luck. Update number 3. 2 weeks later. I could not keep quiet. I had to tell my dad everything. Over the past 2 weeks, I have not found anything of value. Worry has me unable to sleep because I don't know what the two of them are going to do to get that money. What if they're willing to go to the point of no return? I've been checking in on my dad every single day since, just to make sure that he's okay. He's noticed that I've been extra shifty, and today he eventually confronted me. I told him that I was worried about what might happen at the wedding because Isabel was going to be there. He told me not to worry. He had actually had coffee with Isabel that week, and she had been cordial. My heart dropped when I heard that he had been talking to that woman. Clearly their plan was coming together, and I asked if that was the first time he spoke to her since last time. He admitted that he had seen her one other time. He did not like her, but was going to be cordial for his daughter's sake. He suddenly had the most fond look on his face when he was talking about Alice, which made me sad. I mean, he loved her so much, but she was absolutely no good. She was literally lying to his face and plotting against him, and he did not deserve to go through what he did. He deserved so much more than that. I ended up breaking down and telling him everything. I confessed that I wanted to keep everything from him until I was sure. However, hearing him speak about Alice and Isabel broke my heart because he had no idea what they were plotting. I gave him my phone, which had all the evidence, and watched him as he went through it. The look on his face was utter heartbreak. Tears welled up in his eyes, but he did not let them fall. After he was done reading, he tells me that he had something to tell me. About a year ago, he was diagnosed with cancer. He told my sister, but not me, because I was going through a stressful time. He had been meaning to tell me, but did not want to break my heart. He was not sure if he was going to make it, and he did not want to break my heart with the knowledge that I was going to lose another parent. It appeared that Alice had broken his trust and told Isabel, and now they were trying to scam him. He told me that he was disappointed in my sister, and she knew that he wanted us to take care of each other no matter what happened. For her to try to get me cut out of the will, well, that's just plain up cold. He assured me that no matter what they had planned, he was never ever going to forsake me. Hearing my father tell me that he loves me and would never ever turn his back on me, it made me cry. I hugged my father and did not let go of him for a long time. I asked him what he was going to do about them, and he told me not to worry about them at all. He knew exactly what to do with them. All I had to do was act normal and not let them know that he was on to them. So he reminded me of his favorite motto. Sometimes you have to play the fool to fool the fool. It looks like that is what I'm going to have to do in this case. I'm going to have to pretend to be very dumb while my dad comes up with a plan. I wonder what he's going to do. I hope that he teaches that little brat a lesson. She's so ungrateful to be doing this to him when he was always being there for her. How can she help a woman who has abandoned her all her life over the best dad in the world? Clearly, she has some screws loose. Final update 1 week later. When my father said he was going to deal with it, I thought he was going to confront my sister and have it out with her. I also thought that he was going to stop giving her money. I was wrong on both accounts. Over the next 3 days, he did everything that she asked him with a smile on his face. I actually started to think that he forgave her, but I did not ask him because I trusted him. Maybe he was going to do something about it after the wedding. I really hope so. What made me know he would do something was how nice he was to his ex. The way that she was giggling and laughing, I am sure that she thought that he was falling for the trap. I watched with bated eyes, as, a bit of patience is a virtue, because what I was waiting for finally happened. On the morning of the wedding, I got dressed and ready. However, when I got to the wedding venue, there was a commotion. Everybody was talking and looked shell-shocked. Once I joined them, they asked me a million questions, but I too had no idea what was going on. I made my way to the center of that conflict, which is where I saw my sister crying, while her mom was shouting at some people. As soon as I got there, I asked, well, what the hell's going on? Alice. She looked up at me and immediately starts to swear. She asked if this was my plan to ruin her wedding because I was jealous. Well, obviously I had to laugh because I did no such thing. Before I could even deny it, Isabel tells me to leave. She could not believe that I had done such a horrible thing and they were going to take legal action, and just then my father spoke up and said, no one would arrest me. Alice protested, but he gestured for her to keep quiet. He said that even though the wedding was not going to happen, he had a present for his daughter. He then gave her an envelope. She was confused, but opened it really quickly, and she read it. Her mouth opened wide with shock as she asked him why the hell he had canceled everything. Apparently, she was holding a document with a cancellation email from her wedding venue. Well, she looked at Dad, betrayed. Well, was nothing more in her eyes than betrayal, as she asked him to explain. He asked how he could explain while he was just a frail old man that was only good for money. He told her that he knew everything and was simply cutting her off. If anything, guys, happened to him, she was not even going to get a cent. He then asked her how she felt about betraying him in that way, and he had loved her unconditionally and provided her with everything. How had he gone wrong? He sounded so heartbroken as he was asking her for answers. She couldn't even speak due to the tears streaming down her cheeks. She tried to say sorry, but only her wails were coming out. Isabel, on the other hand, she looked absolutely disgusted. She started screaming at everyone to leave because this was not a show, so Dad and I left with everyone else while they just remained there. As far as I know, her engagement was broken. Her mom, who was staying at a hotel, has reportedly moved in with her. So, she clearly has no money to go back overseas. Maybe she's going to find some unsuspecting man and trick him into funding her life. It's going to be hard because now she's much older. I don't care what happens with them. All I care about is being there for my dad. So far, the treatment's working and the doctors are positive that he will enter remission. I've also decided to move back in with him so I can always check up on him. I can see that he misses my sister, but I hope that he will heal soon. We're both better off without her. All she was good for was taking his money, not supporting him, and I know that we're going to get through this just the two of us.